Hi, everybody. Welcome to Happy Hour Live on Brew Sports, the Friday edition, which means it's got to be Friday Fun Day, if you know what I'm talking about. The NCAA tournament continuing to just wreak havoc on people's office pools. Now, let's be honest. Most people, I think's brackets are doing pretty well thus far, but we've got an exciting and full show for you today. It's not just me today. I've got two other handsome, devilish, good-looking men next to me, Mitch Vomhof and Barry Nelson. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we doing today?
Which one is which?
Yes.
Which one? You're devilish? You're handsome. I'm devilish. Okay. I'm wearing the red. I'm devilish.
Mitch has more hair, so I think he must be more like the more handsome. Like you've got
that's the measure of handsomeness, is how much hair you have.
Yes.
So
I just got mine cut. Sorry.
Bad timing. Bad timing.
Sure. Did you ever have a lot of hair to begin with, Barry?
Yeah, and thanks to you, my mom is telling me that I'm losing my hairline.
Me?
Yeah, because you put me on the air.
Your forehead is a little shiny. I'm not going to even lie about that.
All right.
I'll just put on my visor.
Perfect. Your little like Steve Spurrier visor or something. All right, guys. Well, we've got a good show in store for folks today. There is NCAA action, of course, cruising at the moment, and we will be keeping you updated about that. Quick score checks for you. Louisville 74-60 over Jacksonville State at the moment, and USC SMU 60-58. That one's only got 3:01 to play, so we'll be monitoring that one closely. North Carolina is just pounding Texas Southern right now, 49-27. So those are the three active games at the moment. We'll keep you posted on those, and we'll talk about the games that took place earlier today. We'll be joined by Christian Heimall as well in just a little while, one of our college basketball insiders. So we'll get to him in just a brief moment. First of all, time to do our What's on Tap segment, so we talk about some of the things that are on tap in the sports world. And I feel like the three of us, we all know each other pretty well, right? We can all kind of agree.
So. Fairly, yeah.
So if I were to ask either of you if you've ever gotten a vasectomy, is that an awkward thing to ask to start the show?
Kind of, because I'm the only one that's really of age that would get one.
You don't know Mitch or I's life.
No, but I know you guys are in your early to mid 20s. You're still trying to have families, so
maybe I'm just kind of like Lonzo Ball. Maybe I'm one and done.
Heyo. Okay, all right.
Heyo.
This has been fun.
It's been
fun. Thank you very much.
Took us that long, and we're already done.
What did Costanza say? Always go out on a high note.
It's true, something like that. Well, the reason I ask is because apparently there is a study that has recently been released to the world that this time of year there is a 30% increase in vasectomies because the procedure only takes 20 minutes. But the recovery time takes 2 to 3 days. Mm-hmm. And it's required that you have bed rest and icing, of course. So most guys go get the vasectomy done on Wednesday,
so they can watch
that we
basketball
can see basketball Thursday, Friday, and get the whole weekend. Yeah, cheeky.
That might be more forethought than I've put into anything.
My question, I guess, then is that brilliant or is this stupid? Because it's only a one and done sort of thing. You can't get a reoccurring vasectomy every year. You can't keep changing your mind. The doctor's going to be like either.
You can get a reversal. You can try anyway.
I know, but is it worth it to do it for 2 years in a row? Can you just use a sick day?
Depends who you got in your bracket.
I guess so. Like that UNC North.
I'm feeling really good about this one this year.
UNC UC Davis guys. Anybody really could be anywhere. Honestly,
the real trick is when that guy that we all know in the office asks off for the second year in a row because of his vasectomy. You know he's just playing.
I know. If you keep switching up like managers, then I think you can get away with that.
Yeah.
Totally. If your boss is not the same boss every year, I think you can get away with that to an extent.
Or if you're like me and you work in 2 different spots in 2 different years,
That's
you can
true.
ask for the days off.
Keep changing jobs.
Well, it's not changing jobs. It's just it's just locations.
Rolling vasectomy.
It's just locations.
I don't know, you guys. I went and saw Rolling Vasectomy at the Cactus Club last week. They're all right.
They're everything you wanted to see and more.
Came up a little short.
All right, we are off to a hot start today.
Off to a hot mess is what we're off to.
We are. We really are.
This is almost as bad as halftime the other day.
I know.
This is why they call it March Madness, boys.
Yes, indeed. I feel we need to talk briefly about the beers that we have in front of us. I don't know what Barry's is on the floor. Barry and I are drinking the same thing. So Barry, why don't you just tell the audience what we're drinking?
It's New Glarus Moonman. It's a product of the New Glarus Corporation, who also comes out with Spotted Cow, which is a fantastic beer as well.
Spotted Cow. Yep. I do not endorse many things, but I do endorse Spotted Cow.
Oh, they got the...
Yes.
What is Mitch drinking?
What is Mitch?
Oh, I am
Mitchell,
drinking,
yes. Speak with us.
A little bit of, if you are from the Milwaukee area, you might see this as a little bit of... blasphemy might be a little bit of a strong word, but maybe not inaccurate. I am drinking a Milwaukee Brewing Company Hop Happy India Pale Ale,
That's a lot
which I
have
poured into one of my favorite Lakefront Brewery beer glasses.
Ah.
So we've got a little bit
Is
of a
that
competition
scandalous?
here. I mean, there's...
It's kind of like if I'm Brandon Marshall and I played for the Jets and now I play for the Giants, but I still play in the same stadium. Does that make me a bad person?
It might be similar to that, yeah.
That's an awesome sports analogy when referencing a beer.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Came up with that literally like that. I just was like, I need something cheeky to make Barry impressed with me. There it is. I am happy. I can move on with the show.
Excellent.
I love it. A couple of people tuning in already. Aaron pointing out exactly what you were just saying before we even got to it. So Aaron is more on top of your life than you are, Mitch, apparently. Tiffany says, Baxter loved the beach. Tiffany, one of our baseball correspondents, is lounging down on the beach in Naples in my hometown. So what up, Tiffany? Have fun at the beach. I'm super jealous. And Corey says, wow, he can't even with you right now. Just wow. That's
like
all
I said,
you did.
Off to a hot start.
Yes. Speaking of hot starts, we have some pretty good-looking correspondents. Wait, that wasn't the direction I was going for? Anyway, so sorry.
You noticed he just all of a sudden put his head up.
So we can see him on our end, but he's not live on the stream yet, so we can't necessarily show him. But Christian Heimall is one of our basketball insiders and correspondents here on Brew Sports, and he joins us now. Good afternoon to you, Christian. Welcome to Happy Hour. How are you, sir?
Thank you. I'm blushing. It's like Christmas with the green I've got on and the red you now put in my cheeks. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. What's on your shirt there, Christian? What do you hate?
You're gonna have to stand up
this whole thing.
Yeah. Can you stand
this whole
up?
thing?
Can you spin around? Give us a little
let me
show.
show this to you guys real quick. Little, courtesy of the wonderful folks at Barstool Sports.
Nice.
Excellent.
You'll obviously all remember the wonderful I Hate Christian Leitner shirts. Well,
of course.
Yes.
They've added to it with J.J. Redick and, of course, Grayson Allen. And I may even have to cross that out and put Luke Kennard. I mean, I don't know yet, so we'll see.
We'll have to see.
This shirt may become very much... Yeah, this shirt may become like the Browns jersey where I just keep adding names to it. So we'll see.
Excellent.
We'll see what happens. Listen, I went to I'm a military brat, moved around quite a bit. Was fortunate enough to go to a middle school in the Baltimore area the year Steve Blake and Juan Dixon led the Terps to the national championship. So
Steve Blake.
Yeah,
Classic.
there's a big hatred for Duke.
Absolutely.
There's a big hatred for Duke there. So.
No, I completely understand that. I mean, everybody hates Duke, I guess. And now you're drinking out of a what glass? Who? The Cadets?
So this is actually the Norwich Cadets. They're a Division III school. My father, my youngest brother, and a bunch of my other family members went there. Wanted to give them a plug. The Norwich men's hockey team in the Division III quarterfinals tomorrow at home against Hamilton, looking for their fourth national title.
My goodness!
So they got the quarterfinals tomorrow, looking for their next hockey national championship.
Gotta love Division III sports. I was a Division III prospect, and not prospect, but I was Division III
highly touted
prospect. No, I love Division III. I
down.
covered Division III when I went to college. I was play-by-play and color for Division III, and it's just such a pure sport. Kids go there.
It's the purest form of it, I feel like.
Yeah, because they can't. They're not on scholarship. The only thing they can offer is academic scholarships. They don't offer athletic scholarships, and people go there for the love of the game and the work that these kids have to put in. Besides going to class and going to practice, you see it firsthand. And then they're traveling and stuff like that. And some of these kids travel all over the country. And it's just phenomenal what they do just for the love of the game.
You're absolutely right about that. Well, speaking of the love of the game, people are either loving or listing their brackets after this point. Christian, your thoughts about Michigan and their nail biter of a victory today to basically kick off the tournament this today as a whole?
Listen, I mean, if you're one of those guys who is able to extend your lunch break a little bit to be able to watch the last 2 days, you have been very wise in doing so, because you saw a tremendous start yesterday in that Notre Dame-Princeton game, and then another very good one today in that Michigan-Oklahoma State game. I mean, they were very fortunate to come out with the win there, and I think a lot of that we don't take into effect as much because there is a little bit of a break between the conference tournaments and the NCAAs, but the momentum that Michigan had, I think, is what led to that victory. The problem is now they've got to try to gear up again and do it against Louisville coming up on Sunday.
Christian, when we talked about brackets on Wednesday on College Road Trip, we talked about Michigan. And a lot of people, such as the man to my right, have Michigan going a long way. The way I saw it today in the second half, where Michigan had to go 11 of 15 from three-point range, I just don't see them getting past Louisville.
Listen, the 3-point line is the greatest equalizer in sports.
Yes,
and that's not just college
absolutely.
basketball. In general, in sports. And the thing is what does Louisville do best? They defend the three because of their zone. They are very good at that. And when you have guys like Donovan Mitchell or Dang Adele at the top of that zone who are able to stretch things out and make it difficult for a player like Walton or Irvin of Michigan, it's going to be that much more difficult for them to be able to come away with the win. Now, that being said, you can say something for having the momentum and the adrenaline of a tough game as opposed to a cupcake like Louisville just faced. Nothing against Jacksonville State, but they aren't the same caliber as Oklahoma State. So it'll be interesting to see these one-day prep situations. I think I still think that Louisville advances past them, and I think they advance into the Elite Eight. Still, I have them going that far in my bracket before facing with Kansas. But it's going to be interesting to see because, again, when it comes down to the tournament is all about coaching and matchups. So John Beilein, Rick Pitino, who is going to have the better matchup, who's going to have the better game plan for their opponent come Sunday.
Talking with Christian Heimall here on Happy Hour. Christian, Barry and I are both wearing Wisconsin Badger apparel today in celebration to the victory last night. Bronson Koenig, to my knowledge, I didn't realize he was that good of a three-point shooter, but your thoughts on how the Badgers did last night and how basically Bronson Koenig had to put the team on his back with Ethan Happ being in foul trouble for most of the game.
Listen, I'm very happy with how he shot yesterday because I had picked Wisconsin to win that game as well. And I know some folks, when we were talking on Wednesday, were a little skeptical of the Badgers and how they'd be able to do. Listen, Happ being in foul trouble definitely hurt, but I do know for a fact that Nigel Hayes is one of those very talented guys as well, and Koenig is very, very good. I mean, you look a couple of years ago and what he was able to do with that team that made their deep run. So I'm not surprised that they were able to do that. I don't know if it'll continue. I think that considering the first half that Nova had yesterday, you've got a little bit more to be excited about if you are a Wisconsin Badger fan. It's going to be a much, I think, closer game now than we thought it was going to be when the brackets first came out, just because Nova did have such a tough start in the first half against that Mount St. Mary's team. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I do think that's one of the more exciting games that you're going to see tomorrow, especially from that 1-8, 1-9 standpoint. But I love what Koenig's able to do. I love what Hayes is able to do. And if Happ can stay out of foul trouble, they've got a chance to pull the upset.
Yeah, for sure. So Christian, we had yesterday we had one of our first real upsets. We had Middle Tennessee State University, shout out Middle Tennessee State, taking out Minnesota on the real, the classic 5-12 upset. We had another one that was pretty close in Florida Gulf Coast, putting a little bit of a threat into FSU, but ultimately getting dispatched. Are there any other upsets that you're looking at that we should maybe keep an eye on in the coming days?
You watching the game right now?
Yeah, the one I'm looking at right now. I mean, USC over SMU. It's at a 1-point game with 12 seconds to go. That's got a chance to be a little scary. As I'm watching that out of the corner of my eye here. But the other one that's currently going on right now, I don't know the score. I know it's late in the first half, is that Creighton, Rhode Island game. That was what I picked as the biggest upset of the first round. I did not expect to see. I know everybody picks it. I know it happens at least once, but I thought this was the year where the 12-5 didn't happen. That being said, Minnesota really
laid an egg.
Their effort on the glass was embarrassing yesterday. To watch that entire team, Reggie Lynch and everybody else, not even have a chance at the boards was very, very disappointing to watch that Minnesota team, especially considering how much of an improvement they made this year as opposed to last year. And wow, I don't know if you guys are watching it, but what a great stop by USC at the end there to be able to hold off SMU.
Son of a gun!
Why? The nice part for me on that is that I still had SMU losing to Baylor. So,
and I didn't. I had SMU beating Baylor.
Great. Shoot.
Yeah. So wow, that's well done by USC there. But again, I mean, the rebounding that Minnesota was unable to do yesterday really, I think, is what did them in. And you can look back in their non-conference and say they played a weak non-conference schedule, which is what allowed them to have as strong a resume as they did going into the tournament. But give all the credit in the world to Middle Tennessee State. There are a lot of people in East Lansing, Michigan right now that are very, very happy that it wasn't just them going out early to MTSU.
Well, and you look at the SMU loss now, and that opens up the door for Duke. Wide open, because Baylor, they've had injury problems and they can't really stop anybody. You have a USC team who has played now 2 games in 3 days. They've gotten they played a good game on Thursday night, but now today they kind of get lucky, I guess, if you want to call it, even though SMU's only got 7 scholarship players. But a lot of people had SMU going far. Now this really opens up the door for Duke, at least to get to the Elite Eight against Villanova, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think this, I'll be honest. I thought that the best chance for an upset or for a deep run from a Cinderella was SMU, even as a 6 seed, just because I'm not that impressed with Baylor. And I think Duke can be stopped. I know we talked about this on Wednesday. They had to come back from a lot of early leads in this season, the Blue Devils. But now with SMU out, depending on what Baylor does, I mean, I actually wasn't impressed with Baylor until yesterday. And then they really kind of showed me something. Yes, it's a matchup with a 14 seed in New Mexico State, but still, they showed me something. So depending on what Baylor is able to do with this, and depending on Duke's matchup on Sunday, whether it's against Marquette or South Carolina, you've almost got to start giving credit a little bit to Baylor if they're able to advance, or even USC if they advance a little bit, because for a higher seed, we always talk about this. When the top-ranked team in the country goes on the road and they start losing a little bit, or they start getting down, they start to tighten up a little bit. The underdog doesn't have as much pressure on them. So as much as I think this kind of paves the way for Duke to the Elite Eight to face off with Villanova, there is still that little bit that makes me want to say, no, not so fast. And because Baylor, I was really impressed with them yesterday. Their rebounding, their size actually kind of impressed me yesterday. We started to see the Baylor that we're used to seeing in the NCAA tournament. Granted, it was a 3-14 matchup.
The one game that I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and ironically, I never thought I'd say this, but Iowa State and Purdue. Purdue didn't look all that tough against Vermont. And Iowa State really impressed me yesterday against Nevada. A lot of people were picking Nevada to beat Iowa State, and now Iowa State's actually looking pretty good. What do you see going forward in that matchup? Do you see an Iowa State, a number 5, beating a number 4? It's definitely possible. I know that.
I do, and in fact, I picked that. That is what I have happening. I have ISU moving on into the Sweet 16. I love what they've done. I love that program in general. It's one of those schools in the Big 12 that you don't think about, whether it's football, whether it's basketball. You don't look at Iowa State as one of those teams that is really able to do something consistently. But they have over the last couple of years. If not for Kansas winning all their regular season championships, we'd be talking about Iowa State as the darling of the Big 12 in recent memory. So I do see them advancing. I do see them beating Purdue. But you're right. I mean, I wasn't that impressed with the Boilermakers against Vermont. I was really impressed with Iowa State against Nevada. So it's going to be fun to see. I do ultimately, though, see Iowa State advancing into the Sweet 16.
Last question here from us, Christian. This has just been a kind of a funny idea that I've been throwing around all day just to get people fired up. But I've been making the argument that the first round, to just kind of spice things up, the NCAA should consider playing just a 18-minute half to potentially open up more upsets, because the little guys have this. I know, and I get the same reaction every time. People are like, what are you talking about? But I'm like, you think about it, because how many times is the score so close at halftime, and then, of course, then the big dominant team pulls away. But just in the round of 64, that they would play just like an 18 or a 20-minute half, just for fun, to potentially open up the door for much more upsets.
Well, I'll counter you with this. You guys all remember a couple of years ago they changed the women's basketball timing to 4 10-minute quarters.
Right.
I personally see that. I have not spoken to anybody who is any way affiliated with the NCAA Rules Committee. I think that's a test to do that to the men's side of things. So imagine if they do end up going to 4 10-minute quarters, you get a team like Oregon did today with Iona. They go on a massive run in the first quarter, and then all of a sudden there's that break, and you lose the momentum. And then who knows? Iona goes on their run in the third quarter, like they did today in the second half. And then all of a sudden there's a stoppage in play, and you kind of lose that momentum. It's one of those things that's going to be interesting. Listen, I like upsets. I like upsets because everybody wants to pick them, but the people, us, the guys who are supposed to know what we're talking about, we don't, because we know that come April 1st or April 3rd, it's going to be the top 2, top 3 seeds that are going to be there competing for the national championship. So it's an interesting concept. I'd like to see what happens if they go to 4 10-minute quarters before we start cutting down cutting out times in halves, especially just one round of the NCAA tournament.
And like I said, I know it's kind of a silly idea, honestly, but I was just something that I've been throwing around all day.
I would much rather get rid of conference tournament champions playing in Dayton. That's what I'd rather get rid of. Because how much fun would it have been to see Vanderbilt playing Illinois State for the right to play Northwestern instead of seeing two conference championship teams fighting it out for the right to get slaughtered by Villanova. I mean, that's not fair. That's not how the NCAA tournament is. You earn your way in, and if you win your conference tournament, you're an automatic qualifier. You're not an automatic play-in. So the last four in, as everybody talks about, the last four in, Illinois State and Vanderbilt would have been great to watch. I would have loved to have seen USC and Syracuse in Dayton. That would have been great. Oof. That way all the Syracuse fans could be quiet. And by the way, Syracuse fans, remember how much you got gifted. I'm just going to go out there and put that there. But listen, it's there are definitely some things that are wrong, but all we can do is hope for some more upsets, right, and look for Cinderella.
You're absolutely right about that. Well, Christian, we appreciate your time on the show today, sir. I know we'll be talking to you much more the next couple of days as the tournament continues to heat up, and once the dust settles from these opening round, I'm sure you'll have much more insight for us. So good stuff, and where can people continue to follow you on social media to get your thoughts on the college basketball world?
Once again, you guys can follow me as always at Chris Heimall. Looking forward to watching the games tonight. Going to be a lot of fun, and let's see what Troy can do. Let's see what the Trojans have in store for us in that 15-2 matchup over Duke.
Looking forward to it. Thanks so much, Christian. We'll talk to you soon, sir.
Take care, guys.
All right, there goes Christian Heimall, our college basketball insider here on Brew Sports. Some comments here on Facebook I'm sure we should probably get to. A couple of people just giving us their overall thoughts. Aaron said he had SMU in that game. Drew said he had USC.
I think a lot of people had SMU in that game.
Yeah.
A couple of people had SMU.
Really popular as far as like someone who, not like a top 4 seed that was going to make a run.
Divine intervention. I mean, SMU, you've got the Methodists, the Southern Methodists there trying to help you out. David asked a good question, which I want to get your thoughts, you guys, on because it is a pretty good question. He said, what are your thoughts about the NIT? Any interest in it? Any relevance these days? If you could change the NIT, what would you do with it? I have zero interest in the NIT. I honestly forget about the tournament until people start talking about it in terms of people that get snubbed or get sent to the NIT. And I'm like, right, there's a tournament. That's right. Somebody else, it's the not as good. It's almost like the participation trophy to an extent where it's like, hey, you get to do something good for you kind of a thing. But what would I change about it? I'd probably get rid of it, honestly. Just be like, hey, just be better. Make it to the tournament. Good for you. Sorry you didn't make it. Bummer. I feel like isn't the NIT kind of a participation trophy, though?
It's a really tough spot because, obviously you have the big tournament that is the entire focus of March.
Yeah.
And there are, certainly a couple of other smaller tournaments that teams can get to if they don't make it to the NCAA tournament. But yeah, I mean, you're in a place where like teams are just straight up turning down the NIT.
Yeah. Indiana got offered.
Was just like, no, we could go, but
Indiana got offered to host their NIT game, and they was like, no, because I think their athletic director said they didn't want to devalue Assembly Hall.
Actually, that was Tom Crean. I think that's it.
Was that? Okay.
Who is ironically gone because of it. That's the only reason why I was interested in the NIT is because Tom Crean got fired, because they lost to Georgia Tech on the road, because they didn't want to play at home, because they didn't want to devalue basketball at Assembly Hall. So that was the only reason why I had it. I equate the NIT to I don't know, the Michelin.com bowl.
Sure.
It's all these, the GoDaddy.com. You have all the Michelin Car Care Bowl. Pardon me.
Easy does it.
But
Michelin has dropped their sponsorship of Brew Sports.
No! You take a look at all of these, I don't want to say stupid, but all of these insignificant little bowl games that happen, December 21st or December 26th, and it seems like everybody can get in, and that's what the NIT is. It's like, if you didn't make the NCAA, that's okay, you get the NIT. If you didn't make the Cotton Bowl, that's okay, you get the Capital One Bowl, or, whatever it is. But it's just, I think it's a consolation, like you said, it's a participation trophy, it's a consolation prize.
You're devaluing these guys.
Yeah, and a lot of them don't want to. If they don't make the NCAA tournament, a lot of them are just like, fine, our season's over, and they don't care anymore anyway. So why even put the players through it? I
mean, I'm looking through the overall run of teams right now. I mean, Syracuse is doing fairly well thus far. Indiana lost their opening game, so they're out. Cal they lost their opening round, but I'm not looking at a lot of basketball powerhouses here, in all honesty.
No, because they're all in the NCAA tournament.
Exactly. Yeah. Iowa, Illinois used to be Valpo, of course. Like there's some frequent flyers, of course, of the NCAA tournament, but I mean, I think it's a little foolish. Why do you need a tournament to just be like, hey, you get to keep playing basketball? Like, do these guys actually care? Like, we made it to the NIT. Like, no one's psyched to win an NIT championship.
Well, and these guys are battered, bruised. Their egos are battered and bruised. And not only that, but you're like, oh, let's extend the season another 2 or 3 weeks.
So
These guys are just like, no, it's spring break. Let me go to Mexico and just sit on a beach for a while.
So you almost have to purposely tank to not even get into a tournament. You know, it's like, look, I don't want to. If we're not going to be good enough to go to the March Madness, I sure as heck don't want to go to the NIT because that's just rubbing salt in the wound. Because we know we sucked and we weren't good enough to get to the March
we're
Madness
16
tournament.
and 15. We're not going to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
I agree. I completely agree with you on that one. Brandon on Facebook says that he took USC, but his upset with Iona did not do much for him, unfortunately. So that kind of ultimately ended up hurting him overall. A quick check in here on the Brew Sports Network bracket challenge to see where people are. There is only one lone person at number 1.
Ooh.
One lone person.
I love how it updates after every game, too. That's the fantastic thing.
Yeah, that's really good.
But
I could watch my slow descent from tied for first to.
Where are you now, Mitch?
I'm way down. I'm 46th percentile. This is just.
I am. We're actually.
I'm actually tied for second with the other 3 people.
Our first place person. I don't know who you are. 3G_media. Oh, I know who that is. That's Greg Schultz.
Oh yeah.
One of our NFL correspondent. He has a perfect bracket.
Dang.
He is sitting on a perfect bracket.
So that means he actually picked USC.
Actually,
to beat us.
no. That's not correct.
He lost one.
Oh.
He lost Minnesota.
Yeah. I was going to say, because I had one loss when I picked Virginia to lose.
He's in the top. Yeah, he's got. I don't understand what does this mean when the percentage is 100%? What does that mean?
I think that's the 100th percentile.
He's in the 100th percentile.
He's in the 100th percentile.
He's ranked
national.
He's ranked 4,649.
Which is pretty darn good because there's like 3 million brackets out there.
Yeah, and he's got 210 total points. So.
I consider myself lucky. I'm in 90,000.
Yeah, good for them. I'm. Where did I go now after my loss? I'm
you
all
took
the way.
A dive.
I figured.
No,
that
you didn't take that. You didn't take
I'm
that
tied
much
for 12th still, so I'm not mad, but I'm not great. I'm in the 83rd percentile.
And as of about 6 minutes ago, courtesy of the ESPN Fantasy Sports, there are 4,648 perfect brackets remaining after SMU's loss.
I wish I was
narrowing down.
I wish I was there because I know the trip that they're giving away to the Maui Invitational next year.
Oh yeah,
God,
is that golf?
That sounds all right.
No, that's the. No, my head just hurt.
Wah, wah. Come on,
what else do you do in Maui?
Sony Tournament of Champions. Get it right.
Sony Tournament of Champions.
I'm pretty sure that's the.
I can guarantee you, if I was gonna be invited to the Maui Invitational, they better have a VIP experience there. Otherwise, I am gonna be on the golf course and I'm on the beach. That's where I'm gonna be in Maui.
That's any trip I get to Florida. That's
I guess
Florida,
wherever. Aaron kind of defends the NIT here. He says, "I feel as long as the NIT is meaningful to some." It should continue just like low-level bowl games. It's not meaningful, though. And I would love to meet someone that can justify to me saying that I am a 3-time NIT champion. No one wants that on their resume. Nobody does.
No, not really.
It's kind of like getting the most community service, hours in high school. It's like, great, you helped in your community, but you didn't get the great scholarship that you wanted. But I don't think so. I don't think so, honestly.
Well, if you're a basketball lover and a basketball purist, you might say, you know what? Let's play the NIT. Let's do this. Let's have some fun. Let's go on a winning note. I mean, if you're an NIT champion, you still get a banner raised in your gym.
That's true. It's not of course, you get a ring, you get all that fun business, but I mean, how many people are gonna, if you have to get into a party and you be like, hey, here's my NIT championship ring, and the next guy next to you is like, hey, here's my Final Four ring or my national championship win, they'll be like, yeah, you can come in. NIT guys, like, party's full, man.
What? That's not
happening.
That's
sorry.
That's not a real
So you have to have a ring to get past the velvet rope. Man,
the more you know.
I don't get into any clubs.
I got my wedding ring. That's.
I was gonna say I don't go to many clubs now that I have a wedding ring. Not that I went a lot
kidding.
before anyway. When I was
I saw you
single
at the
and ready
Baxter,
to mingle. I know Mitch was there. He and I were.
We won't tell.
It was like Night at the Roxbury with Mitch and I. Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
We were doing the whole like head bobbing thing.
We were making it happen.
So aside from what Christian talked to us about here for this NCAA tournament, are there any specific games that weren't talked about, or just things from yesterday that you guys just kind of want to put a little bow on to kind of move forward with this whole NCAA talk?
The game that I'm looking forward to tonight, and it's not me trying to be a homer, I'm really looking forward to that South Carolina Marquette game because I have Marquette winning that one, and I think a lot of people do, but I'm scared. I'm scared that South Carolina is going to come out and they're going to be in their home state. They're going to have the crowd behind them, and it's going to propel them to a win. I love Steve Wojciechowski and his effort that he's had with this Marquette program. They have some shooters. They got some young kids. They have a lot of firepower.
They do. Well, and isn't Marquette one of the best three-point shooters in the country?
Yeah, they are, and it's going to be fantastic to see them for the first time in 4 years, and for the first time under Steve Wojciechowski, who, by the way, is a Duke product and knows exactly what it takes to win at the NCAA tournament level. True. So if any team's going to win or going to show the effort, it's going to be a Steve Wojciechowski coach team.
You're right. You're absolutely correct about that. David does go out on the limb here to defend the NCAA or the NIT, and he says, I think the thing that people like about the NIT is the regular season conference champs get a place to play. Those low major champs can play the Syracuses, the Indianas, and so forth that they haven't really had to see or play in a long time, basically.
Yeah,
I get it. I do.
Yeah,
I'm not making total fun of the NIT. I really am.
Just mostly fun of the NIT.
Mostly fun of the out of the NIT. It's like you try not to make fun of that guy that lisps, but everybody knows that he lisps, and it's like we don't want to make fun of you, but we're going to potentially talk about you behind your back because you lisp, and it's kind of hard to understand you during presentations. So get your list.
Wow, this is very specific.
I'm not targeting anybody that I know. This is not.
Of course.
I really am not
targeting people that you don't know.
I was going to say I'm targeting people that I don't know, of course.
Great.
But I'm saying,
okay.
but you get what I'm saying though, where it's like, I still feel like if I was a coach and people were like, "Do you want to come play the NIT?" You'd be like, "No, not really." I maybe would ask my players because, of course, you want to give. It's obviously you want to talk to the kids. Be like, "Do you guys want to play some more basketball?" Or you guys don't?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to continue to potentially put my guys at risk for getting hurt more. That's the worst thing that you can do, of course.
That's true.
Trying to continue to extend the potential injury bugs that are out there. But Mitch, any games that you're going to be keeping an eye on at all?
I'm a little bit more. I'm kind of the NBA guy, so
sure.
I'm really all about watching prospects.
I was just about to ask, are there prospects that you've got your eyes on?
Yeah, actually, tonight is a really good. If you like, maybe 3 or 4 first rounders or potential first rounders.
Okay.
You might want to watch the Kentucky game tonight.
I was just about to say.
You'll see a little De'Aaron Fox, a little Malik Monk. UCLA tonight, obviously Lonzo Ball.
Classic.
I've noticed there's been a lot of Lonzo Ball content on this network.
It's not even Lonzo Ball; it's LeVar. Nothing to do with Lonzo.
Yes.
I'd love to just talk about
conversation.
Lonzo, but that's never going to happen.
But yeah,
because he actually keeps his mouth shut. I'm sorry to interrupt, but he actually keeps his mouth shut and doesn't say anything.
Yeah, well, if you like talking about the Ball family, tune into the Double Dribble Show coming up at 5:00. But hey,
little plug. There you go.
Yeah, hey.
As you were.
But yeah, I mean, so those guys are going to be fascinating for me. I'm kind of. I've been a fan of Arizona this year. They obviously, played last night and got through it pretty easily.
Right.
But watching a couple of their guys, Lauri Markkanen is a guy that it's a little trite to compare him to Dirk, but he's a 7-footer that can shoot, and those guys have a special place in my heart.
So you're a big Frank Kaminsky fan then?
I think Frank will be
a
decent player in the league. But
I'm not saying he's going to be a Dirk, but when he was in college, you must have absolutely loved watching him.
Well, yeah, I did. That was that team with
You're not wrong.
Decker, man.
Oof.
I was having a great time.
Yes, and more yes. All right, gentlemen, let's transition out of the basketball world here because, as we mentioned, Mitch, you guys are going to be hitting on that much more as we get to that towards the latter half of our Brew Sports programming for the night. We should actually take a quick check here on some scores. At the half, Rhode Island 33, Creighton 26.
Yeah, go Rhode Island.
And then what else is taking place? Louisville wrapped it up against Jacksonville State, 78-63. USC beat SMU 66-65.
North Carolina
is just pounding Texas Southern 67-33. So Texas Southern, enjoy the free trip.
Sorry.
And the T-shirts, but that's all you're not going to be here long enough. So I hope you just packed a little tote bag because you didn't need to bother packing for the weekend, honestly. UC Davis, Kansas, that'll tip off here in about an hour. Wichita State, Dayton, Troy, Duke, KSU, Cincinnati. There's still a whole ton of games left to play tonight, which is just absolutely incredible. So
I just want to check the Vegas odds on that Kansas game because I want to see what the odds of UC Davis actually winning are.
That would be phenomenal.
So we can transition. I'll see if I can put that up. See if I can pull that
back
up.
in.
Right,
absolutely.
I love it. We'll keep up to it. We'll keep up to date with that if we can. So NFL free agency is something that also is a hot topic in the world of sports right now. We just found out just a couple of days ago, of course, that Latavius Murray is going to the Vikings. But the big story has nothing to do with someone that's a free agent. It's someone that's retired right now. It's the Oakland Raiders trying to go out and get Marshawn Lynch.
Sure.
I have several opinions about this, but I want to hear from
really?
I want to hear
Baxter
from
has
the, I want to hear from the two of you
Oh,
first.
man.
Mitch, your thoughts first.
My
sir.
thoughts. I've been a Marshawn Lynch fan for a long time. His uncomfortableness with the media speaks to me in a certain way. But he was also really a fun player to watch in the league. Given the crop of free agents that's out there at the running back position,
Yeah.
If Marshawn Lynch was a free agent, I think he'd be a pretty good get. But when you kind of factor in that he's been away from football for a while, turning 31, an age that has never been really kind to running backs. It's even if they get him out, even if they get him to come back and play, I don't know if it's going to move the needle much.
No, I don't think so.
For a team that kind of does need running backs because Latavius Murray left in free agency. Like
I was surprised by that. I thought Oakland would make more of a push to try to re-sign him. Honestly, so
yeah. I mean,
that was one that I was a little confused by. Personally,
I know they liked what was his name? Washington, the rookie that they drafted last year.
I can't think of his name right now.
I unfortunately can't get it off the top of my head, but they really liked the kid they drafted last year. And they might also be kind of in line with that thinking of we have this great offensive line that can make a lot of running backs look good, and so we don't want to pay for we don't want to pay for a guy that might impede improving in another way. So
you're right about that. What are the odds, Barry? I see you got him pulled it up there.
Yeah, odds are about 250 to 1. The point spread is 22.5. The over under is 144. I go money line on this one. No,
so you're saying there's a chance. Honestly.
Oh, we're gonna get rich tonight.
You know what? If you put $10 down on UC Davis and they win, and you win $2,500, you heard it here first. I'm your man. No, it's.
Barry's like, I get $45% of that.
No, 10% would be nice. I'll take 200. I'll take $250.
Yeah,
That's fine.
That's all.
No, I'm looking at this picture of Marshawn Lynch right now, and he looks big, out of shape, happy.
And goofy.
Okay.
And goofy.
Well, yeah.
But
that's a normal Marshawn.
I don't see this happening. I mean, you're better off going after Adrian Peterson and just kind of swapping running backs. And you said that Lynch has been out for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. He hasn't sniffed a football field in 2 years. Probably hasn't even been in the gym for ever since 2 years ago. And I think he's enjoying being retired. He's 31 years old. Like you said, he may not have as many miles on those legs, but I don't see him saying, "Oh yeah, Raiders! Oh, you look awesome! I think I'm going to come back, and I'm going to." If they did, they'd have to pay him probably about $20 million a year.
You think it would be that much?
Really? Okay, we'll go 12.
Let's bring that number down just a little bit.
And it's not much different, but 12 to 20 million. I mean, I really don't think he's going to come back for anything less than 12.
Yes. And realistically, I think that if you're the Oakland Raiders, you are taking yourself from being a potential Super Bowl contender to a team that will be lucky to make the playoffs overall if you make this Marshawn Lynch sign. They were foolish to let Latavius Murray go. They were foolish to maybe not consider pursuing a guy like an Adrian Peterson or even Jamal Charles. Maybe Jamal Charles.
There's still got time.
There is, and that's the thing. They still have time, but if they officially put their chips in the bag and say, "All right, Marshawn, we're going to give you $12 million a year," I think that's the worst decision the Raiders have made in a long time. I think their credibility goes down the drain.
That's an Al Davis move. And Al Davis is no longer around,
that's
so
thing,
I don't think that's
what
going to
I'm
happen.
saying. So that's why I'm hoping and praying for the Raiders' sake that they don't do that. You look at it, though. Did you ever think there would be a year that Danny Woodhead would have been the highest paid running back free agent?
No.
Or Rex Burkhead would be picked up before Adrian Peterson, a league MVP and the rushing leader.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's been really fascinating to watch this kind of shift in the way the league approaches running backs in particular.
I'm glad you emphasized the F on that one, because I was gonna say you can cut that way, you can cut the F out, and that's what you got as far as the free agency market for running backs right now.
It's true. It's really kind of crappy. I mean, if you were looking to build a Madden team from a couple years ago, like Reggie Bush is out there, Chris Johnson, there's some guys out there. Do you hold any water though to the LeGarrette Blount to Green Bay rumors?
Yeah, anything's a possibility. If Ted Thompson can get him for a bargain basement price, he'll take him. I mean, he's got a lot more. He's got a lot more life in his legs than I think Eddie Lacy does.
Yes.
At least a lot more life in his belly then.
But there it is.
A lot less on his plate, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. A lot less on his plate. But I think LeGarrette Blount would be a nice kind of thunder and lightning to Ty Montgomery if that's the way they're going to go. But Ted's got to wait it out, and that's what he's doing. I think that's what a lot of these people are doing. They're going to wait it out till probably May or June, and then all of a sudden the price is just going to bottom out on these guys after the draft, and that's when they're going to get picked up.
Yes, I would completely agree with you on that one, too. Even looking around at the free agent market for wide receivers, Victor Cruz is hanging around, Vincent Jackson's hanging around. Aside from that, Michael Floyd, Percy Harvin retired, Cecil Shorts is still hanging around, too. He's not awful.
Thin.
It's very, very thin, honestly.
But I think a lot of what these teams are looking for is they're looking for the draft class because it is a deep running back draft class. And I think that's what a lot of these owners and GMs are going to say, hey, let's see what we can get in the draft. If we can't get anybody, let's go after these free agents and pay them as little as we can to get as much as we can out of them.
I agree. My big thing, though, I really want to know where guys like Dan Carpenter and Chandler Costanzo are going to go, honestly. The kickers, man. And Nick Folk, Zach Hoker, these guys.
You might have to wait for...
they give a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Steven Hauschka is going to make $8.8 million, okay? Like that.
You still
ridiculous.
have time, don't you?
I do. I'm 25 and I can make a 50-yard field goal, okay? So anytime somebody wants to put me on their team, this is actually apple
I've
juice.
seen your
I'm not
highlight
drinking
reel.
beer. Just get this out of here, basically. Tanner made me show my 40-yard field goal with a ballroom dance shoe on the show.
Hey, there you go. See?
Threw that out there and drilled it from 40 yards. It was good. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. I don't know. He was like, show it. I'm like,
GMs,
why?
give Baxter a call. I'm his agent. Negotiate with me. Also, Baxter, I get 15%.
And I'm his manager. I get 10%. So
Okay, great.
We got this.
We take 25% off the top. He's good.
Yeah, that's
he's
good.
fine.
Good.
How much was he make? $8.8 million?
$8.8 million. That's
You
the
won't
going
even
rate for a
notice-
starting kicker right now.
You won't even notice
I
it's
can
gone.
make $880,000 a year. I'm fine with that.
I care about Baxter. That's all I really
Exactly.
care about.
We're just trying to get Baxter the best deal we can.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Actually, I just don't want to. I just want to take my wife on a vacation. That's all.
That's all it really boils down to. Like, I don't really care. I just want to take my wife on a vacation.
Absolutely.
I get that. Brownie
Great.
points, Barry.
I'll
I
take
love
myself
it.
on vacation.
Mitch, do you have a little bit of a preview for us for what you're going to be doing tonight on Double Dribble with Jimmy Carlson?
Speaking
We're
of
going
double
to be throwing
dribble,
microphones.
I just take
First
my
of all,
microphone and come over here and talk to you a little bit more.
We will. We'll be hitting, like I mentioned, some of the headlines in college basketball, actually, because we're getting about around that time when everyone wants to talk about draft prospects. You want to know a little bit about Lonzo Ball. I'm gonna profess my love for Lauri Markkanen, as I mentioned. We're going to talk a little bit about Dirk Nowitzki and a very interesting item that he and some other players now are receiving in the mail.
I've heard.
So stick around for that. I just found out that there's a very interesting hotline being developed for players to maybe argue about or to call complaining about referees. So get the scoop on that. That's going to be very exciting.
Okay.
And, of course, everyone's favorite award season discussion. We're going to talk about MVPs.
Of course.
Defensive
Best
players of the
supporting
year.
Russell Westbrook player.
Yes.
Best supporting.
The
like,
most important, most valuable Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
is
the
new award. So that'll be very dramatic.
I'm looking forward to it. Coming up at 5 p.m. Central Time.
Yes,
gentlemen,
sir.
I appreciate both of you for joining me on Happy Hour this evening. Any parting or closing thoughts or bold predictions you want to throw on the record before we go?
Bold predictions. I don't think I have any bold predictions. As I'm looking down my bracket, I will say that this is my most favorite time of year. I love it, and as you can attest, if you tune into College Road Trip every Wednesday, and we might have a couple of extra shows coming up, breaking down the brackets even more with some correspondence. But happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been fun.
Patrick's
It's
Day,
been
guys.
fun.
I'm enjoying it.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Absolutely.
Enjoy responsibly.
Yes. Drink responsibly.
Well, you told me to drink, so I'm going to.
Or
just
drink. I mean, hey, listen,
You do
just
you.
stay out of trouble, kids.
Yeah, right.
That's all I'm saying.
Get an Uber.
Be safe.
Get an Uber. Exactly.
Today's show
Be safe.
brought to you by Uber. No, I wasn't really. But if they want to.
You can't give away the sponsorships yet.
Exactly. I'm sorry.
We haven't signed the contracts yet.
So sorry. For Mitch Vomhof and Barry Nelson, I'm Baxter Colburn. This has been Happy Hour. Enjoy the rest of your St. Patrick's Day. Enjoy your weekend as well, too. We'll see you guys in just a little bit for a double dribble, and then we'll see you guys here back again on Monday as well. You've been watching Brew Sports. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.